section 1.2 on sampling methods. So a sample should be as representative of the population as possible, because if it does not do that, then it is said to be biased. A sample frame or survey frame. These are just the actual set of units from which the sample is chosen. For an example, you are interested in finding out what proportion of South African farm workers earn less than the stipulated minimum wage. So you select your sample of 100 as follows. Firstly, you get the list of employees from a local farm. Then secondly, you alphabetize the list and select the first 100 men. Now, are the population and sample frame the same? The answer is no. Population and the sample frame in this case are different. Okay. So the population is first all South African farm workers. Okay. And this, of course, comprises of different areas, while the sample frame was just only from a local area. It needs to include men and women, but the list only consists of men. So the population and sample frame in the previous example are different for these reasons here. So we will look at two kinds of samples: probability samples, and samples are drawn according to the laws of chance or the laws of probability. And methods, of course, include simple random sampling, stratified sampling, and systematic sampling. So all of these are probability sampling. Okay. We also have a convenience samples, so samples in which data that is readily available is used. Okay, and methods here include quota sampling. Let's start by looking at the simple random sampling. So this is sampling in which each sample of a given size n that can be drawn will have the same chance of being drawn. Here's an example, picking the winners of 3 prizes. Okay, the method is that you write each entrant name on a piece of paper, put the names into a hat, shake the hat, select 3 blindfolded. Okay, so each and every name in the hat here, in this case, has got an equal chance of being selected. Okay. Here's a second example. You're selecting 2,000 people to take part in a survey about the telephone service quality. So the method could be that you number the phone or the telephone numbers sequentially, then you randomly select 2,000 numbers using maybe a computer, and then you match the numbers to the telephone numbers. Okay, so this is one of the methods of giving each entrant an equal chance of being selected. So a simple random sample can be selected using Excel, of course. Okay, and this can be done by implementation of the random function. So to generate values greater or equal to 0 but less than 1, you use the function equals rand, and then you put something in brackets. Okay, so for example, to generate integers with values from bottom to top, you use rand between. So you put random, you put bottom number and then you put the top number. Okay, this is just going to be the minimum value, and that is going to be the maximum value. So you're generating integers with values from bottom to top. So the simple random sampling has got advantages and disadvantages. It is simple to apply for a small population, and the disadvantage is that it is time consuming for a large population and may not include all items. Okay. And maybe not all items can be found or contacted. We also have what is called a stratified sampling. This is one of the probability samples, and items in the population are grouped according to some characteristic here. And then these groups are called strata. And therefore we apply simple random sampling. So simple random sampling is done in each of these strata. So the number selected from each stratum is proportional to the population. Take note of that. For example, here's an example of a study focused on people's opinions to road safety. Road users were divided into 5 groups based on their main mode of transport. Okay, so this is the mode of transport and the percentage of the population associated with this. So if a stratified sample of 400 road users is to be selected, then how many people should be chosen from each group? Now, since for the mode of transport taxi, there's 42%, we're going to say 42% multiplied by 400 to get 168 people. The same thing with these other mode of transport. So if you were to get 400 of those, then you will multiply by a percentage that corresponds to each of the mode of transport. Okay, so when you add all of those values, they need to add up to 400. The other method of sampling is the systematic sampling. So here samples are chosen by selecting every kth item, where k is just equals to capital letter N divided by small letter n. So capital letter N is for the population size and small letter n is for the sample size. So the first step here is you number each item, and then you randomly select a number to get the first item of the sample. And the third step is to choose every kth item till the sample is of the required size. Here's an example. A car manufacturer wants to check the size of a particular part that is being made. So 200 parts were made today. The manufacturer wants a systematic sample of 30 parts. Okay. Now, the manufacturer will select every part of this. So you want the value of k in this case. Okay. So k is equals to a capital letter N over small letter n. So the value of capital letter N is 200 and the value of small n is 30. And therefore you get your value of k as 6.666, which is just approximately 7. Okay, so that's the first part. You get the value of k. And suppose the manufacturer starts with the 4th item. Now, what is the number of the 3rd part to be selected? Now, if you number each of these items from 1 to all the way up until 21 of these, and the first value is 4, then what is the second, what is the third, what is the fourth, and so forth. So the second number, of course, is going to be 4 plus 7 to get to the second value, and from there you say again from 11 plus 7, then that's how you get 8. So that's how you get the third value or the third value to be chosen. And lastly, we look at quota sampling. This is a non-probability sampling method. So a type of convenience sampling in this case. The first thing that you do is to identify characteristics of interest, and then you decide on the categories. Then later you choose your quotas and your sub-quotas. And lastly, you collect information from somewhere convenient till quotas are obtained. That's how you do it. So for an example, a company is marketing a new type of soap and wants to know how potential customers might react to it. So quota sampling can be used in this kind of problem. So the first step is important characteristics. Okay, so you do that. Of course, males and females are your target. So that's gender. Age group, maybe under 20, 20 to 60 and over. So it's almost everyone. It's up to you. But you categorize these, of course. And the second step is to decide on the number of categories. So this can be done using a table. Remember, you have males and females. You have people who are under 20. You have people who are 20 to 60, and you have people who are over 60. So these are your categories. In other words, you need 6 of these categories. Okay, males under 20, females under 20, males between 20 and 60, females between 20 and 60. The same thing, males over 60 and females over 60. So all in all, you need 6 categories to actually collect your data. And then from there, you choose quota and sub-quotas. So the quota is the total sample size, and sub-quotas, of course, are how many go into each category. All right. So these numbers can be chosen in various ways. Often equal numbers are chosen for each category. Okay. So it would make sense that if you say you take 15 under 20 males, then you'd also do the same for the females. Okay. So the last step is to go somewhere convenient to collect the information. You can go to a shopping center, of course. And there are disadvantages and advantages of this method of sampling. And one of the advantages is that it is cheap, it is convenient, and it is quick. But disadvantages include the interviewer can choose who to interview. Sometimes this is because an interviewer might feel that maybe someone is approachable, someone is not approachable, and therefore the method being used here is not up to chance, or it is not at random, since this depends on how the interviewer feels and so forth. Therefore, the results could be biased based on how the interviewer decided to choose who to interview and who not to interview and so forth. Okay, so yeah, thank you very much for listening.